and 14. And I think we have Paul McMahon here. And we do have, well, let's deal with the meeting of the 4th of February, as it doesn't have any Part A matters in it. So is there anything you'd like to raise there?
Just that the matter of Barrington Mall is coming up again, and the parking issues and bus issues continue to be a bit of a problem. So I'd just like to draw councillors' attention to that.
Yeah, I think we're continuing to follow up on that one. So you'd like to move that Phil Clearwater, seconded Tim Scandrett. Is there any discussion on the first of these reports? I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. Carried. Then we'll move on to the 21st of February, which does have the Part A matters required for decision making. So,
so there's just this Prefab New Zealand Corporate lease extension, and I just want to point out that Prefab New Zealand have been really good tenants. They've abided fastidiously by all the terms of their lease, and they're seeking a 2-year extension, with the exception of the period which the AMP Showgrounds needs it for show week. And I think that the reason why the AMP Showgrounds have objected so strongly is they see it as encroachment upon further upon the area that they use. But to remind you that this is council-owned land, and there's some concern around the Napuna Wai, the plans for Napuna Wai, and I think it would be really good if the council would meet with the AMP Showgrounds board, because it's a new board, and see if things can be improved there.
I think that's a very good idea, and I just wonder, I presume that the two councillors would like to move and second the motion.
Yes, you would. So
Clearwater, Scandrett, but I just wonder whether you want to pick up in the original motion the idea that the council meet as a matter of urgency with the Canterbury Agricultural and Pastoral Association.
I'm happy to support that. I think because this part of the land is right at the edge of the Spreydon Heathcote ward, and I'm sure Councillor Scandrett would join me, or any other councillors who are also in the Napuna Wai area, Rickett and Wigram, but particularly our area, to discuss the issues with the new AMP board, as Paul McMahon says.
Yeah. David East?
Yes, I would also support that notion. At the last AMP show, I did have the opportunity to speak to the president of the AMP Association, and he was quite keen to have some dialogue with council for some of the ideas that they want to put forward as well. So I think it's a good idea to certainly include them in some discussion on the development of that area.
I just wonder if whether it was limited to ward councillors. Did they want to meet with representatives of the council?
They haven't suggested this. It was me who was suggesting it.
Well, I mean, I think that we all agree that we need to, but I just don't think it should be restricted to the ward councillors, no.
Absolutely. I mean, I did mention Rickett and Wigram, but all councillors who are involved in this would be obviously welcome.
Yeah. Yanni?
I do actually think it's a matter for the full council. There's actually sort of like 3 different issues going on here. One is about the lease and Prefab New Zealand. One is about the future development of the Canterbury Park, and the third is really around what's happening in terms of the association. So, you know, I think it should be, we should as a full council meet and talk through some of those issues. I am concerned that there's a requirement to vacate the area during the AMP licence term. If you actually think about it, you've got a prefab village, so I don't quite understand that resolution if it's intention that they just move all the houses and then put them back after 32 days. It seems a bit...
Well, they...
I believe it's the legal requirement of the lease.
It's the legal requirement. If they have to do that, then it's probably not going to be economic for them to return.
Yeah.
And so they really need to come to some resolution with the AMP Showgrounds people, which is why the council needs to talk to them.
Yeah.
But I guess the question I'm putting is, why would you sign off on a lease that you know that they actually will
It's
not
already
do that?
been signed.
Well, why would you grant it? It's
No,
an
no.
extension.
We're asking for an extension for Prefab New Zealand to remain.
Yeah.
The pre-existing lease with the AMP show is that any use of that land, as I understand it, sorry, Tim Scandrett might be able to help.
I guess it has run smoothly from its inception. So I guess one of the issues that maybe the AMP show have, and this is really why we need a meeting with them, is with now the looking at Naipuna Wai, etc. And if the AMP show are concerned with regards to encroachment on their ability to operate and deliver through Cup and Show Week, etc., and there are other events that they do with regards to livestock auctions, etc. So I think the best way to go forward is organise a meeting with them, find out their concerns and try and probably waylay them or better understand them and move forward.
I think the point I'm trying to raise is that you're agreeing to extend a lease for something which is simply not practical. The Prefab New Zealand are not going to pick up all the houses that are there off their foundations and move them for 32 days. And that's what you're basically saying is going to have. So,
The council would like to accept that, will accept this subject to the meeting with AMP.
yeah.
Because AMP are being quite angry about the result.
So,
Sorry, can I get a clarification from staff as to whether it is a legal requirement under the lease that we have with the AMP association? Is it their lease that actually requires the making available the site clear for those 32 days? Well,
That's my understanding of it, Madam Mayor.
Yeah, maybe we should just make this provisional upon checking as you come.
yeah, so well, why don't we take out with a requirement to vacate the area and put subject to discussions with the Canterbury Agricultural and Pastoral Association?
Can I suggest that we actually, the council would like to accept the lease's request and will work towards doing so by meeting with the AMP Association?
Yeah,
I think rather than going into a meeting
Yep,
with them,
okay.
telling them that we've done it.
all right.
No, no.
So the council accept the leasee's request for a 2-year lease extension which will allow Prefab New Zealand to continue to lease the site until 31 January 2016 and will meet with representatives of the Canterbury AMP Association as soon as it can be arranged to facilitate this.
The council would like to accept the lease's request and will meet with the AMP people to see if this is possible.
Could we leave this sitting here till we get legal advice?
Okay, we're going to get some legal advice, so we're going to leave this one sitting
There's
on
a
the table
comment
until...
in 4.2 of the comment. The council does not need approval from AMP to grant a further lease to Prefab New Zealand outside of the AMP licence term. However, AMP's approval is required before Prefab New Zealand can remain on their leased site during the period that they have exclusive
Yeah,
licence.
that's right. That's what I
rights
thought
over
was the
land.
case, and I read this on Sunday, so I didn't have the actual lease in front of me, but can we get some legal advice before we frame the resolution, and we can come back to it and deal with it accordingly? I was a little concerned that the actual email that accompanied this as attachment 3 actually states in their formal response that the Canterbury AMP Association is wary it may lose use of a significant portion of land in Naipuna Wai, and this has exacerbated its need to protect all other land in Canterbury Agricultural Park for the running of the annual Canterbury AMP show, the purpose for which the park was originally established. And that to me seems to be the nub of the problem. So instead of focusing on the hub, and I actually thought the hive, rather, I thought that was actually just part of, incorporated into and part of the AMP show
Well,
last
they
time.
did pay stall fees.
Yeah.
They were at the stall at the last AMP show.
Yeah, but they didn't have to move all their houses.
No, that's correct. And the helicopters were over the other side beforehand. So it doesn't seem like there's a dire need to move the helicopters.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll come back to that with a suggested resolution. So thank you very much, and
Thank you.
we'll move on. Can we deal with the report as a whole? That the report as a whole be adopted? Or no, we'll deal with that at the time as well.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll come back to it all together, and I'll invite the chair of the Akaroa Wairewa Community Board to come to the table.